All right, and welcome to the Beyond Coaching Podcast. You've got your co-hosts Zach Bartell and Max Ada. Today we've got Jessie Contour, designer, professor at UT Austin, and co-owner of Home Barbell Club. She used to train at Squats and Science in a 600 square foot Brooklyn dungeon to Home Barbell in 2022, growing it from powerlifting plus weightlifting into strongman and building bright, clean, female-owned space with no hidden fees, dog and kid-friendly policies, and handmade meat trophies. Yes, she does 3D print butts on her trophies. Jessie, welcome to Beyond Coaching.
Thanks. So happy to be here.
So let's just dive into the 3D printing of the butts. I mean, I said it. People are going to wonder. They're going to wonder what I mean. Talk to me about that. What do we got going on?
Yeah, so that was for one of our kind of homebrewed strongman shows, and we always like to do special homemade trophies with a handmade touch. In that case, it was these little trophy cups I 3D printed, and as you went from first, second, and third place, like the butts got bigger the better you did. It was. Unfortunately, I'm at home right now, not at the gym, so I can't show you. But
I got to see. Before,
really?
guys, and let me tell you, it was immaculate.
Anatomically correct, I assume.
Yeah, I think so.
100%.
Nice.
So you were a game designer, and now you're a professor. How has that helped you create the aesthetic that is Home Barbell Club today? Because I think you guys do an extraordinarily good job.
Thanks. Yeah, so one of the big things that goes into being a professor is that classroom community management. And I mean, I work with adults, so adult like college students. So there is that, like everyone's kind of in charge of their own destiny in a college class, but you try to build a supportive place that helps them succeed and has the resources that they need. And I think that translates pretty nicely over to a gym environment. You make a community that is clean, well organized, open ended, to let people pursue the path that they want to pursue in the gym. And it turns out when you kind of make a place that has good vibes, you get that back in your community. So it has
Definitely. You told me that when you joined Squats and Science, your total jumped up back when you were powerlifting. What were some of the things that you learned there that you've been able to apply to building your gym?
Yeah. So I had an incredible kind of life-changing moment when I joined Squats and Science, which was my first official powerlifting strength gym. I had been training at New York Sports Club and had been getting harassed by other members. There was guys coming up to me every day. They would try to spot me, but only like one side of the barbell. And I'm like, dude, first of all, I'm in a squat rack. Second of all, you're only on one side. How is that helpful? Or just staring or making comments. You get a lot of that in the bigger gyms. And it was also just training by myself. And so when I moved to this other gym, we were just in this tiny basement, limited space. You had to be really aware of the other people, but everyone was in it. And everyone was just there for the love of the sport. We kind of made do with the limited space we had and supported each other. And, we had full control of all the music, so we could put on something loud when we wanted to hit a PR, like our own personal song. And there would be, 4 people rotating in and out of a combo rack at any given time. And so we learned those values of like community and support and intensity and just love for the sport. And the people I met there, I've carried with me to this day. One of them helped me open Home Barbell Club. And so I think that specificity and kind of love for the sport within a space can really help. And those are just the big lessons that I kind of brought into Home Barbell Club.
Was that something that you knew existed there before you got there, or was it something you discovered when you got to Squats and Science?
No, I had no idea. I had been training in a starting strength gym for a while, and the vibe there, I think, is a little bit more corporate. It was very professional. I liked my coach. I competed in starting strength before I joined Squats and Science, but I felt a little lost. I didn't feel the same connection. And this is maybe a funny connection, but I actually worked in Meg Squats one-on-one coaching, and she was training at Squats and Science at the time, and she brought me there, and I was like, wait, this place is so cool. So no, I had not known about it, but I got to train there with her and her partner Ryan, and then when I finally moved back a little closer to the gym in Brooklyn, I was like, I gotta train here. Like, this is the place to be.
Definitely. I think that your design background is a superpower as a gym owner because it just sets you apart. Like, I can't tell you how many gyms I see. I mean, mine included. Max is worse for
Oh,
sure
the
now. Where
worst. The
it's
worst.
just like that like there's not the parts of the machine don't connect. You walk around gyms, you're like, it's unorganized, it doesn't flow well, or even the design. Like, I think I first heard the term brand kit like 4 years ago. And so, what are some low hanging fruit that you've seen that someone like me who's not design oriented, doesn't have that creative eye, but like, what are things that people like me could go and look at and do to right away just get more bang for our buck when it comes to improving the flow of, let's say, even the physical space, but also the design and even the thought process behind how you designed Home Barbell Club?
Yeah, so from the very beginning, I think it informed the naming of the gym. And I know that Home Barbell Club is not maybe the most unique name. There's a lot of like hometown barbell and things like that, but we floated names that were more intense, and we were like, we really want a place that feels welcoming and isn't scary for people that are new to the sport. Like, we want to be female friendly. We want them to be able to bring kids in with them if they want. We want new people and experienced people to come into the space and find out what works for them. So the naming of the gym, that was important. And then we also considered our goals for the space. So we got really lucky. The space is a big kind of box, and we could fill it in however we wanted. And so one of the first things we considered were like, okay, we want to run meets here. So
Yeah.
where does the meat go when we host it? Where is the warm-up room? Where is the meat? And we divided the space and we put the permanent equipment, the stuff anchored to the ground, over in the warm-up area. And we left the area where the meat setup would be in a more flex space. And everything we put there is easily kind of put up on dollies and rolled away. So that cuts our time when we have to set up for events. We have a meet in the gym this weekend, and so it'll be probably less than 2 hours to set up. And so
It's
those
funny.
things have worked out really well for us.
I was gonna say it's funny that a lot of gyms do this. Like a lot of gyms, we moved to a new space, do the same thing. You walk
Mm-hmm.
in and you're like, okay, where can we run a meet? How do we run a meet here? Because it's
Mm-hmm.
like they're so integral to like the gym itself. It's funny that
Yeah.
that's like such a thing. Like your first thing is how do we get a meet in here?
Yeah, you're like, wait, where's the platform? Okay,
Yeah,
where are the chairs? And so those things were important just for like getting started. But then things like, what color do we paint the wall? What like art do we put up? We're in Central Texas, and so I think the Americana vibe was a fun way to go. We have the big eagle painted on the wall. We did keep it bright inside. We have a lot of natural lighting. So we did, initially the walls were all white, but the landlord actually replaced the overhead lighting. We were like, oh, the lights are getting kind of dark in here, replaced it. And then it was like too bright. And we're like, okay, all right, we gotta we gotta paint a little bit. So we brought in the reds and the blues, and we have some accent colors that we use that reflect the colors of the plates. So we have red, blue, green, and yellow kind of present throughout the gym. And so I think all those things kind of connect to that like love of the sport, but also that Americana kind of welcoming hometown vibe. And then the bright lights and open spaces keep it like friendly. And then all the dogs everywhere also help with that.
nice.
Yeah, the dog thing is tough. Man, I've gone through so many different like policies over the years because I'm about 8 years in. We at one point I would bring my dog every day, and then my GM got a dog, and then people started bringing their dogs, and then I get members who like didn't like dogs, or I'd
Yeah,
get members who bring in like golden retrievers and labs that are awesome but shed everywhere, in the summer heat especially. So like we had to say no dogs, which sucks because I feel like one of the things that happens is as you scale, you start with this like really tight knit, really good community, and it's awesome. And it's a small space. I started with 1,800 square feet. We're in 5,000 now, but you start and it's like super tight knit and super cool. And then as you grow, then you start getting like drama with members, people clickiness, and then you have like little like dog things. How have you monitored that stuff as you've continued to grow? Like how has that stuff changed or stayed the same?
Yeah. We've definitely had a couple of like dog situations, just potty accidents
Yeah.
or dogs not getting along or something like that. And we're pretty committed to keeping it dog friendly. That's a big thing in Austin, especially. And we have people
Mhm.
who join specifically because it is dog friendly. so they can bring their dogs in. But I do have a spare supply of leashes, and we're like, if there's any problems, we're just leashing everybody up until it's done. We have several dog beds. I know some dogs can't settle until they have a place to sit. So we just have a supply of dog beds available. And so we have like containment methods for the animals if necessary. We've had a few members who are nervous around dogs, and we really just do our best to be like, okay, yeah, no worries. We'll just leash everyone and we'll keep them over here. And then, you can have your workout in peace and not get bothered. And so that has been functional so far. We're 3 years in and haven't had any major issues. And we do have a policy where, kind of one and done. If your dog is peeing, like, no, like, sorry. But we have had a couple like accidents and, people just clean up or repurchase something and it hasn't been a problem. Mm-hmm. As far as member drama, I think so. Luckily, the relationship with gym management is very low drama. So, and that has been very much like purposeful on my end. I really make sure that like me and my partner, Matt Cramsey, or Kramer, we call him Cramsey, I forget sometimes. We are the original founders of the gym. We go way back to Squats and Science. We've known each other for over a decade at this point, get along really well. We've done some projects beforehand and knew that we had complementary skill sets and similar like drives to accomplish things. And so we were the team that opened the gym. And even through like some sort of funny adversity, like a couple months before he came to Austin to open, he tore his bicep. And I actually had hurt like my knee tendon. And so we built a whole gym between us with 3 good arms and 3 good legs. No arguments. We just kind of locked in and made it happen. And then the 2 additional owners that we've brought in since then, we knew for a while, we worked with them, we trained with them, we competed with them. We talked them through the mission of the gym and, the situation and the kind of goals and expectations on the ownership side, and made sure everyone was on the same page. And then we're always present. It's a 24/7 gym, but we staff as much as possible. And there's always someone present with a smiling face to greet people, to build community, to introduce people to each other, and kind of have that good vibe, community vibe in the gym. And so that has been good. I think our good relationship on the ownership side like translates to a positive community presence in the gym as well. And
absolutely.
actually just this year, folks started having like gatherings outside the gym, and I was like, so it feels really good, and I think that people can tell that we feel that way, so hopefully we won't have any drama. I know it's bound to happen at some point, but we haven't had anything happen so far. So
you guys started with a co-founder, so 2 of you guys run the gym. How would you say that has been, and if you did it over again, would you continue to do it that way? Would you have brought in a co-founder, or do you feel like there were any like not major, but any kind of issues where, hey, I think this might not be the right way to do it, or if you were going to tell somebody new who was thinking about starting, what they would do as far as getting a co-founder?
Yeah. So at least for me and the situation with Home Barbell, I needed the help of a co-founder to kind of get there on the financial side, and also just being able to kind of accomplish the gym build. Like, I'm a lightweight female lifter. There's only so much I can do. So it's nice to have like a guy on the team to help with on a few different levels. And so Matt, he brought in a lot. So my kind of area of expertise is on the design side, and Matt, he works in finance. So he does like the gym financials and the taxes and all of those things. And, he got all of the licenses we needed and knew how to navigate those systems. So, and then I built the website and had all the branding, and so we had a really excellent kind of complement in our skills that kind of crossed all the T's and dotted the I's that we needed to do. So for us, I would 100% do it again. It was the best decision for us. We have since brought on 2 more people, and that is just for longevity. Honestly, all 4 of us have other jobs. This is not our only job. Like, I think as gym owners, we know that this is not the most lucrative business. And so I'm in it for the love of the game, but I also need to make money and kind of do right. So I'm over at UT, and I have people I know and I trust at the gym to kind of support, and they have their other jobs. Like, one of the co-founders, his main thing is running a coaching business. So he gets a lot of his work through the gym and has kind of bought into the ownership and handles that side of our business as well. So we all
Yeah.
have complementary skills.
I think that that's a really good point. I think that all partnerships, it really needs to be strategic. I find that a lot of partnerships in any business, but let's say gyms in particular, like whether it's financial, but on top of just financial, it's like, it's a marriage. So do you complement each other in the best of ways? And you just said that perfectly, is you bring design, aesthetic, vibe, and it's Matt, right? He brings the business, sort of the business acumen side, and the we'll call it the boring work to the partnership. And so oftentimes the mistake that I see is like you have two of like the same person, two gym bros that want to get together and open a gym, and they're both like coaches and they both don't understand business, but they're like, yeah, brother, let's do this thing. And then all of a sudden there's infighting and there's egos and there's clashing, and then there's a breakup 2 to 3 years in that's not working. And so I would say to anyone listening to this that's looking to start open a gym, try and figure out for you, the right fit. If you're looking to partner with someone, are they truly the right fit? Or do they complement the gaps that you potentially have, so that you can be, my mom just waved to me in the window. So this is distracting. So that you can, you know, get the most out of that relationship as possible. We don't usually marry someone that's exactly a carbon copy of us. It would drive us crazy. So business partnership should be the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think that's why we got along so well, is like when we decided to open and work together, we were like, I'll manage this and you'll manage that. And then we'll just, we expect each other to follow through. And because I had known him and trust him, I could trust that he would do his side. And then bringing on Jeff, he manages the coaching. And it's like, that's great because, I'm just the gym mom, not the coach. So it's great to have him on board to manage that and work with our coaching program. And then just recently, our newest partner, his name's Spencer, and he functions as more of a GM. He just cleaned up a spider infestation on our front door, helped build equipment, do things like that. And that is great. We really needed that person to help with the details of the day to day.
I know one of the things that you guys do is you run a lot of events, from meets, like strongman competitions, to meets, all that. So take us through all that you guys do, and then I want to dig deeper into what you think the formula has been to help you guys be successful there too.
Sure. Yeah. So we run strongman shows. I used to run powerlifting meets, so kind of shifted more into hosting powerlifting meets. We have some nice relationships with promoters in powerlifting throughout the area, and so we've been hosting quite a few, and I haven't had to do them myself, which is nice. And then we also do like fundraising, fun charity events. I'm sure this is not unheard of in the area, but we have our like October deadlift party, Dead Fest. Last year it was a dog fest. We raised some money for local dog shelters. And then we try to have smaller events every week, like Saturdays or Strongman Saturdays. And as part of a community building effort, we try to keep those pretty low barrier for people who aren't members. Like they're free for our members to join in and kind of join the group and try out some strongman stuff. But for people outside the gym, we give them a discount on the day pass. And that has been really effective for building our strongman community. That was like a really intentional effort to bring some folks like that in. And then probably one of the last things is we try to prioritize events that are connected to the mission of the gym. So I hosted like Ladies of Iron, the powerlifting meet. We had an event called The Riveter, which was like a novice female only strongman show. The first round of that happened at Home Barbell. And then the next two, I competed in the next one to have the presence, and then I'm also competing in the third coming in March. And I also do things like I am running the Special Olympics powerlifting meet. So I'm like connecting with that community. So I really like to do our best to not only host as many events as we can, but also connect outwards, whether it's competing, volunteering, or running events outside the gym that connect to our mission.
Do you find that the events for you guys, is it a revenue generation tool or a marketing tool, or is it really just a mix of both?
It's a mix. I mean, if we can fill up a show like 60 people plus all the spectators, that's a great day. We make a good amount of money, and that really helps with paying rent. So I'm not going to say that that's not part of it, but the community kind of impact on hosting a good event and everyone participating and having a good time, even if it's a smaller event and we don't necessarily profit a lot, I think like the community benefits are so strong that we would keep doing them. either way.
Yeah. How do you think it affects the way you run the business and just the overall like attitude you have towards it, that everybody has a job outside of it?
I think for me, that gives it longevity. It's not the only thing I have going on, but I'm in it because I love it and I don't rely on it to survive. And so it gives it a little more flexibility to grow at its own pace. We were really lucky that the gym reached more or less, kind of fluctuates, self-sustaining after the first year. And then which is a lot. Our rent is like $10,000, so I think that was like pretty good.
Yeah.
And it, we've sort of slowly been building over time. But I think if it was the only thing I had going on, I would be way more stressed.
Yeah.
And so I think we benefit from kind of diversifying our own personal income streams away from the gym. It also gives me like, I teach at UT and I can take that money and feed it into the gym if necessary. So yeah, I think it's beneficial.
It is interesting to me. You're probably, I know other gym owners that have other jobs. You're probably the only one I've spoken to that has like, 3 other partners that all have like a full-time thing. Like usually I find that there's an owner, a main person, and then they have partners that probably also have other jobs, but there's usually one main person. And it's interesting because like what you said, it's like, success or failure, it's not worst case scenario. It's, so you stay above water at all times because you know that you have stable income outside of it. On the flip side, though, I could see it almost, and you almost have to hold your guys' selves more accountable to push hard, though, if you do want to grow, because it's kind of like, well, we've got this cool fun thing going, but we know that growth, if we're not growing, we could also be dying, right? And so I always find that like I work harder when there's like more risk involved. So when if crap hits the fan and it's gonna fall through, that means like a really bad scenario for Zach. Like I'm gonna do whatever it takes. If it's kind of like I'm not saying you feel this way, but like if I was like, like I'm good either way, I find that I don't personally push as hard. How have you guys, I guess then my question is, how have you guys stayed pushing hard in the directions you want to go, even though everyone's sort of like part-time, combined full-time, but part-time?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that is something like I think that the benefit of having the sort of second job makes it so that we don't feel like we have to be all gas, no breaks all the time, right? So it gives us a little bit of moderation, and that longevity, like I keep mentioning, is really important. Like if I was just stressed all the time, this is the only thing, like, oh my gosh, we all have to support ourselves out of this initiative. Like it takes time to get there. And so I don't know if my like stress could handle it if I had to do that all the time. And so what this gives me the ability to do is push in seasons. So like summertime, I'm not working at UT and I can go all in at Home Barbell and put on like a banger summer strongman show that is sold out to 60, 65 people. And we bring in like all the sponsors and it's this huge kind of blowout event, which is what we did this last summer. But then when the summer's over and we need to go back and it's like the down season in the fall, I could be like, hey, we're all right. So it gives us those seasons of effort. And then because it's not like required, because we're doing our thing and we're all kind of spreading our effort, I think that really kind of brings back to like, why are we opening a gym in the first place? Which is really like the love of the sport, right? Like we're here, we're supporting it, we're growing it, we're bringing people in through those good vibes and hosting events and coming up with like community things to make people feel good instead of maybe making people feel like the stress and anxiety. I think I've been to gyms where it feels like they need my money, or they have like tactics in place.
Was it called SoCal Powerlifting? No, just kidding.
So I think that the vibe is, you can tell that the owners are there because they like just love it and they just want to build something positive, which I'm not saying other gyms don't, but like sometimes when it's your only thing and you're like on like the edge, I think that you can come up with policies that maybe go against your
values.
Mission. Yeah, your values. Your mission.
It also can be the kind of thing where it's like you pick up on the nature of somebody, right? Like you pick up on coaches that are, barely making ends meet. You pick up on people that are, desperate's the wrong word, but like, they're struggling. And it's like you can just feel that energy in a place, right? It's not relaxed, it's not calm. It's like everything's about this or that. And they're, there's stress coming out, or they're upset that, one client left because now they're making less and all this. And like the push is always to the money side, like, oh, we got to get more people, or we got to do this or that, or, whatever. When you go in somewhere that's relaxed, you just have a different vibe, right? So it just feels different, it seems like.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool that you guys are able to do that.
Yeah. We're pretty choosy about the people we bring on board. We have some coaches that are kind of around, and a big part of the kind of coaching residency program we have. We don't offer that to everybody.
Yeah.
And we want people who, again, are like going to be a part of the community, kind of build up those good vibes and kind of are aligned with the mission. And so we can be a little bit more choosy because we're not always like, desperate, which is, not the word, but like, we're not always like looking for.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. So like, when I started my gym, I mean, Max knew me back then. I was 20 and I started, I just loved coaching powerlifting and I wanted a home to do it at. The gym we were working at was closing. So I bought the stuff and I opened a space, like the rational thing to do, whatever, which wasn't rational at all, but it worked. And it was like this fun thing where I was like, yeah, I mean, I'm in college. Like if this doesn't work out, like whatever. I was on a revenue split with the gym I was renting from. I was a smaller gym within a gym kind of thing. And then over time, like you fast forward 3 or 5 years, I had a payroll that was 40 grand a month. I had rent that was 10 grand a month. I had all these expenses I had incurred and revenue that was growing in proportion. And then, I'd say 2022-ish, you start to hit we hit like a little bit of an economic slowdown. The free money during COVID slowed up and people started losing some jobs, and especially in tech. And we're around a lot of that here in Irvine, California. And all of a sudden I'm like, oh crap, like, do I have to fire people? Like, do I have to, like, I had to start making hard decisions. And then it went from this place of like this abundance fund community thing to like, crap, like, can I make payroll next month? And then that became hard because like, I grew it one way with these feelings of like, this is a fun thing, this is a cool community. And then I realized like, I kind of switched it up on my team and even members of like, we need to grind, we're grinding over here, we're doing this. And I was being a bad leader because I was coming from a place of scarcity and fear. And rightfully so. And through all that experience, I look back and I'm like, I made so many mistakes on how I acted in that place of fear and scarcity that I wish I stayed abundantly minded the whole time. I've gotten to that place now. I call it monk mode. I'm more like chill and steady for team, but it's difficult. Like as you grow and scale, you increase revenue, all these great things that everyone talks about on Instagram and stuff. But like ultimately you're also increasing risk. And you're increasing, the more you have to lose. And that's hard. And it's hard to stay positive when things aren't going great. So I guess my lesson I would have learned back then is I would have built it more sustainably. I would have made decisions more conservatively had I had foresight to be like, oh yeah, we don't double revenue every year. I thought that's what we do. That's just what we always do because that's what always happened. And yeah, I've gotten so much, I guess, knowledge and experience from all these different types of experiences in the years we've been in business. But I love what you're saying. I think staying in that mindset, the ups and the downs are going to come. And I guess like having all the partners has allowed you to remain steady. You guys to remain steady where it's like, guys, like, yeah, if 1 month is bad, we're okay. Like, it's okay. It's okay. It's fine. But yeah, it's for sure been tough. I've gone through a lot of different ups and the downs when it comes to business for sure.
Yeah, I think it's probably a little different because I went in with the goal of keeping my other job as well. Like I started actually teaching and lifting in like the same year, and I've kind of maintained both, and they've both grown in their own ways. And so I have no desire to quit my other job. It provides like, I'm really fulfilled by it. And I'm also fulfilled by the gym. And so it's like part of the design of the gym's business model was with that intent in mind. And, just being able like, hey, let's just like grow this baby, this low maintenance like child over here. And make sure that we can all kind of keep pursuing our paths that we want to pursue.
How much do you think that ability to say no from probably your design background has influenced that, like just your business model in general?
Yeah, that's a good question. Wow, great eye for detail.
That's why I'm here.
Yeah, I mean, so like even from the origin, like when I was designing our logo, it kind of evokes a little bit of like a baseball plate, and I chose a font that was rounded, and I was like, this font looks like it eats. This is not like a font that's in a cut. This is like a chunky font, and so I was making those choices to be like, this is homey, this is warm and round and like connected. This is that like those vibes. And so we make, we buy red. Well, I don't think a color palette is unique to gyms. There's gyms tend to have their color, but yeah, I mean, I think at some point you do have to kind of align the brand guidelines to the direction of the gym. And so maybe I don't think about it too much because I've been working in that space for so long, so it comes kind of naturally. But it is true that the decisions I make around the look and feel of the gym as a whole, as well as our events that we run, like I don't use AI art because I think it's kind of soulless. That's a big thing. There's a lot of shows that use AI art to promote their stuff. I just pay an artist or I make it myself. And so those kinds of decisions, I think, connect back to the human element, which is a really big part of what we focus on. Yeah, maybe I hadn't thought about it too much because it's kind of just what I do naturally. But yeah, I think you're right.
Well, the other thing too, it's funny, and like I respect like everything you guys are doing. It's sort of like the anti-establishment gym where you're like, because I know you do like no contracts, like month to month stuff. It's like easy, like your policies are super end user friendly, gym member friendly. End user, I'm living in the software space too much right now, but gym member friendly and people first. And I'm sort of like the gym business guy, and so like for me, I hear this stuff and I'm like, no, but I like that because for you, that is your marketing and sales play. You're like, look, you want to sign up? Are you an asshole? No? Yeah, come on in, and here's the space, here it is, right? Versus like this like sleazy sort of feeling sales process that's slimy with this 3-page contract thing with a, and so my question for you is how has that helped you grow the gym and the business?
Yeah, I mean, the no contract, no fees thing, I think people respond to that. Like everyone has had the experience of signing up for like a big corporate gym and then getting trapped in that bill cycle and having to like send a certified letter to like cancel your membership and you're just like, I would rather die. Like and so I have sometimes members like they just had a kid. They need to take a couple months off. And we're like, okay. They'll message me on Instagram. I'll be like, no worries, bro. Got you. Like, I'll pause you. Come back when you're ready, And I think that due to those policies, like, I could probably nickel and dime people and get more money. Like, it could. But we get people coming back. Like, they'll leave and then they'll come back because it's a seamless kind of low barrier process. And they also, one of the big things, and I think it's written in our kind of mission statement on the website, but this is like a gym by lifters for lifters. Like we're not trying to trick people into giving us more money. We're trying to get you to a place where you want to stay.
Yeah.
And that also means like not like hiding what we're doing. I know that if you're like, okay, this is the membership and then that's the membership, there's like nothing else on top of that. There's no like yearly renewal fee, which I always think is crazy. That's just like why is that added on? It just feels bad to get charged those things. And so we don't charge them because we want our members to feel good about being members here.
It's it's very customer focused, right? It's like you're prioritizing the customer versus the sale, right? Because you can do enough little things. You could add a little credit card surcharge. You could add a monthly renewal. You could add a shipping and handling for paperwork, like whatever you want. But it's like, and those are all sales based. Like you'll get a client, you get a customer, they'll stay with you for a year. As soon as a better option comes along, feels more customer focused, they'll leave. But if you're focused on the customer where it's like, hey, we care so much about your experience and about you, we make things simple and understandable, and we can show you that we're transparent. That doesn't mean we don't charge a premium price, doesn't mean we don't do X, Y, and Z, but you're focused on the customer's experience at the end of the day, which is they come into the gym, they love it, they have a great time, they want to be there, they're happy about it, and they don't feel like you're focused on getting their money, which ultimately probably makes them much more excited about the opportunity to buy something from you guys, a shirt or whatever it is, or they want to keep going, they want to stay there.
Yeah. I mean, all the things I just said, like our membership fee is probably one of the more expensive ones. Like it's $95 a month. But like it's $95 a month, and we do have our day passes are actually probably one of the cheaper ones, weirdly enough. Like there's people charging like 20, $25 for a day pass, and ours are 15 because we want people to want to come in. And then they see the facility, they see our community, they see our like mission, and then it feels good and they will pay to stay. So that's kind of how we've organized it.
Yeah. And I think the thing to remember too, and it took me longer than it should have to like realize this, is like when someone's canceling, you want that to be a good experience for them as well. Because even if they're canceling for whatever reason, they're moving, or for us, like even switching coaches, things like that. If it's a bad experience, they will tell everyone else. Like,
Yes.
and so that person is still potential marketing play. If it's a good experience and someone asks them about, oh, hey, you used to live in Orange County, like which gym did you train at? I'm moving there, and they had a good experience canceling with us. Like they're gonna say, yeah, SoCal Powerlifting, they're awesome. But if I tarnish the relationship at the end because I'm like, screw that person, they're canceling, I'm gonna make this really difficult for them, they're never gonna recommend our gym. It's gonna put a bad taste in their mouth forever, and you lose that relationship. And so I think more gym owners need to probably think about these things.
Yeah, and I poll people when they leave. I'm like, hey, where you going?
Yeah.
And almost inevitably, it's like, well, they're moving because of work. So it's like, why would I be a dick? Like, you got enough going on. Or they've had some like life thing. Maybe they've got an injury. Maybe they're having a kid. Maybe there's in between jobs, and all of those things are temporary. And so if you make the cancellation like not suck, and when those are over, when they're back into the training chapter of their life, they'll come back to you. But if you make it awful, they don't want to come back. So I think that like if you realize the reasons why people typically are leaving, it's reasons that like you can have that person return to you later.
Absolutely. So as we start to close out here, I think one of the things I really wanted to dig a little bit deeper on and be tactical on was some of the event stuff that you're doing. So if the we have coaches, gym owners listening to this, they are afraid to run their first meet. I know when I opened my gym, I was so nervous to run my first meet. What is your like? If you were to give your 5-minute playbook of from start to finish, this is how you run a successful show, competition, event. What is that playbook?
I would start with competing yourself so that you know what it's like on the competitor side and you know what feels good and feels bad. I would then go to volunteering at other people's shows so you know what it's like on the other side, on like the management side, and what feels good and feels bad as someone who is like working an event. So really kind of build out your knowledge. Don't just jump in with nothing. I had been reffing and volunteering at local powerlifting meets for years before I ran my own, and also competing. So it's like I knew what it looked like, what it felt like on either side of the equation. And then I connected with someone who had been running meets, and I was like, okay, walk me through, like, what are the details that maybe I don't know? And then just first of all, be like gentle with yourself. Your first one, you might get in a fight with your co-owner because the lights stop working and they want to go and you can't, and then you yell at each other and then you make up later. My friend, that happened to my friend. Definitely not me. But I think like really, and this is a theme, but it's like when we make decisions about how to run meets, we think about the athlete experience. Like these are the people that are paying to come. So how do you make it as good as possible for them? And then also, how do you make it as good as possible for the people who are helping you make it, like run the event? So we have made a few decisions that are really athlete friendly when I was running powerlifting meets. Like I had a person in the warm-up room that would clean up and turn over the space between events. Like we would put in benches. We would take out the benches and put in the deadlift jacks. We would, so some things to just like make it feel good to be a lifter and like the person cared about your experience. And then on the volunteer side, we pay the volunteers because that's a huge amount of work, like spotting and loading.
Oh yeah.
We've always paid our spotters. Actually, there's the amazing like TSS spotting team is local to Central Texas. So we just hire professionals.
Yeah.
Because specifically for powerlifting meets, those are the people that make or break the flow of the day. And you know that if you've been to a meet where there's terrible spotters and loaders and you're just like, oh, it's 5 minutes between lifters and the day drug on for 8 hours and it was awful. Like we don't want that. So we pay professionals to spot and load for us. And then there was a couple decisions, like Central Texas is quite hot. So we have a room upstairs where the AC like hits really hard and we reserve that for our athletes. We're like, hey, that's the athlete zone. You can go cool off. You can put your bags so you're not tripping over them. on the gym floor, and you can go hang out from like that private space. So what are the amenities that your space can offer to really enhance the athlete experience, and then you kind of monitor that as the day goes on to make sure it's staying at the quality you want. So yeah, I mean, I think it's like knowing what the experience feels like from both sides, connecting with people who know what they're doing, compensating people who help you, and really prioritizing the experience of people who are competing or participating on that day. And hopefully with all those things together and reading the rule book, of course, all those things make it for a success.
And well, Jessie, I really appreciate your time today. Thanks for being on the
Thanks so much.
podcast.
Thanks for having me,
Yeah.
guys. Love to talk about home barbell.
Yeah. So if anyone's visiting Austin, where can they find you?
So Home Barbell Club is in North Austin. We're technically Pflugerville. I think the native Austonians will get mad if I say we're in North Austin. So we're in Pflugerville off 35. You can find us there. We're also on Instagram at Home Barbell ATX. And so you can message me there, and I'd be happy to invite you to the gym.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks,
Cool.
guys.